our next segment, we have another movie review. We have the Thunderbolts movie review. It just came out. What was it? Last Thursday, Friday.
Week ago.
Yeah. It started like over the weekend. Is when it was.
Okay, so then the it should have been like Thursday because I think they drop on Thursdays, right, for the
Thursday
previews.
Nights. Yep. So.
Which I always thought was weird.
Yeah. Well, it's because to get more people in the theaters now.
Yeah.
Because that little window where people are like, oh yeah, I want to go see it before everybody else, so they make more money.
They start doing those midnight showings.
Yep. Well, I waited until Tuesday and got the cheap tickets. So we went and saw me and Taylor. This is my wife, Taylor.
Hi, Taylor.
It's the first time she's been on here. And so both of us watched the movie. So we're going to have it for a perspective of a person who knows it from the comic book side and someone who's just watching it for the first time. Yep.
You know what we need to do, though, is we need to have more women on the...
Got to. Well, more people in general.
Well,
so, as a perspective of a comic book reader, Thunderbolts movie, it was decent. You can tell that the way they set up the movie was to bring out something new into the Marvel universe. There's a lot of combination of things that you technically was supposed to watch, but you didn't have to. So, like, as long as you knew the characters, at least like Bucky Barnes and stuff like that, everybody else, they played such a good role in that movie as independent people that technically, if you haven't watched the Black Widow movie, you still would at least enjoy the movie itself.
Which that was a spectacular failure because that got released during COVID and went straight to
video. And
I liked it though, but
yeah.
You already know the way the male viewing public is when it comes to female-led
stuff.
Yeah.
But no, it was actually a decent movie to the point to where it was definitely a good setup for this one. They definitely changed the aspect of the characters versus what's in the comic books.
That's what I wanted to ask you about. So, it almost feels like, from what you had said before we started recording, it kind of gave me the Guardians of the Galaxy vibes. Because when I saw the trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one when it came out, I was like, that's interesting. I don't know if I want to go and watch that. Because I was a fan of Guardians of the Galaxy, the original Guardians of the Galaxy.
Not the remake one.
Yeah, not the current ones with Groot and all of them with like Charlie 20. The one with that Sylvester Stallone and all the other dudes are supposed to be the original guys. That's what I grew up watching. Reading.
Yeah.
So, is that what this is? Because I didn't pay attention to it. I don't know enough about Thunderbolts. But is this iteration of Thunderbolts the original Thunderbolts? No. So it's more character. It's newer characters. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a little bit newer characters, or at least to the extent of how they portray them too. So even though Bucky Barnes was definitely part of that Thunderbolts whenever they did that re-release and stuff, it still felt like a bit different character than what was in the comic books. And they do a good job of it though. That's the thing. It's like whoever ended up actually putting the Thunderbolts movie together wanted people who don't actually know much about the comic books to enjoy the movie. And I think that's what actually brings it to it. Yeah. But yeah, as a perspective of me, I would definitely give it at least a 7.5. It was a movie that I had to think about after watching it to seeing how good it was. Because in the moment of it, it was kind of like, yeah, it's okay. But then once you think about how they set up the movie, the in-depth character build that they did on it, then you kind of enjoy it more. Because it was a movie you had to think about.
Yeah.
And what about your perspective?
My perspective is that you definitely didn't have to know anything about the comic books. You didn't have to see any of the previous movies in order to enjoy it. And it was a good movie, like, all around. And it had a good, like, emotional thing to connect to, especially if you've ever had any sort of, like, mental illness, either in your family or yourself, to connect to or to... just anything like that in your
to identify with the characters in there.
Exactly.
Yeah, they definitely do a good job of identifying characters of what you can relate to.
Yeah, they were very relatable characters. Most of them change, and they are, they develop pretty well.
Yeah.
Well, I know we're in the anti-woke era now, but which people don't actually understand what being woke really means.
It was supposed to be.
Yeah, what it's supposed to mean. That's just... I'm not even going to get into it. Yeah. We're going to end up losing viewership. But anyways, I kind of feel like Disney has kept a good balance with that. Because one of the shows that I like, for whatever reason, Day Day and Noe have not wanted to watch. Me and Leah watched it, but I really did like the Miss Marvel TV show, the Kamala Khan one. So I thought that was cool because I was like, have I ever seen somebody of Indian descent on a TV show that wasn't Bollywood? Like,
Right.
outside of a stereotypical Apu, which apparently they canceled on The Simpsons.
Right. Yeah. But I think that was mostly the Simpsons thing was mostly because he was being voiced by a white guy. Making that accent. That's what they was mad about.
But yeah, like, and then Monica Rambeau.
Yeah.
So they've been embracing it. Not that these characters are actually like new.
Right.
I kind of feel like Indian characters are severely underrepresented in comic books. Asian characters are still they have a small amount there, but they're still underrepresented. So Shang-Chi was good.
Oh, yeah.
America Chavez was you almost never see any like hardcore Hispanic stuff. I think the biggest character for Marvel, which is Sony right now, is Miles.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if people see him as black or if they see him as black Hispanic or how they see him as, but
I feel like as far as like Miles Morales is concerned, it was like whatever side that you identified is what you saw him as.
Yeah, because if you're black, you're gonna see him as a black character.
Yeah,
If you're Hispanic, especially in the cartoon, because in the movie you obviously know his mother is Hispanic. She's Puerto Rican, obviously Puerto Rican because she has that New Yorican accent. So representation has come a long way. I want to say as far as Marvel is concerned, because we didn't see this a long time ago.
Right.
What was the most popular character that was not white? Black Panther.
Right. And even then, Black Panther never had a movie.
Yeah.
Like usually any black superheroes that was made into a movie was targeted straight only to black people. So you had stuff like Meteor Man and
look at what DC did with Steel with Shaq.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that wasn't even promoted as a Superman movie.
Right. And then so it was like they tried to target audience. That's the only way they think of as being successful instead of like, hey, this is a black.
There was one exception though.
What?
And it was probably one of the best movies that Marvel Studios had put out, and I can't remember who, but I think it was New Line Cinema. But the very first Blade movie.
Yeah.
I think that first Blade movie was better than anything Marvel had put out, and was better than anything Marvel had put out after until they started the MCU.
Yeah.
That movie, the special effects are a little cheesy on it, but
well, I mean, for its time.
Yeah, for its time, it was good. Wesley Snipes was perfect as Blade. Chris Christopherson as Whistler. The whole thing was dope because it was dark. It had that techno music. It captured the nightlife. Like,
well, I mean, Spawn. That movie was actually decent too, with Michael J.
Michael J. White. Yeah, I tried to watch it again, but it hasn't aged as good, and it's not like it's bad. It's just that the special effects are not good.
Yeah.
But I'm still waiting for Todd McFarlane to finally do. Who's supposed to be the Spawn in the new one?
I think Jamie Foxx.
Okay. I mean, he's got the money to do it now. He had the money to do it then, but if he had the money he has now back then, that movie would have been so much better.
Yeah. But yeah, for the Thunderbolts, it definitely was a solid movie for people to be able to go watch. I definitely recommend it for people to watch. So basically, without trying to spoil the movie, it's literally a keystone movie for what's going to come for the next Marvel universe.
This is the first movie in this new phase, right? Or was there another movie? I thought this was.
I think technically, Captain America, Brave New World.
Is a new one. Okay.
Was that?
Did you ever go and watch it?
No, I still ain't watched it yet. I still haven't watched it yet. Is it? I don't even think it's still out in theaters no more.
I don't know, but it'll be on Disney Plus soon.
Yeah, but I haven't seen that one yet. But it does reference to that movie. It also references to next movies. Because what's funny is, I don't know if you noticed, but Marvel's basically been putting out a movie every single month.
Is it every month or every quarter?
Pretty much every. So the Brave New World came out last month. Thunderbolts coming out this month. Next month is Fantastic Four.
And Fantastic Four is supposed to be set in an alternate universe, right? It's not in the current. It's part of the MCU, but it's not in the.
Yeah, but they are setting it up for there to be them in the future. But obviously they want to create the Fantastic Four first as its own individual thing to merge it into the Marvel.
Yeah, because this Fantastic Four has more of a retro feel, like kind
right. So they just wanted to give that into that.
But man, see, I hate when they do certain things too because it builds the fans up. The fans get excited. Then it's like, why don't you roll with that? Like with the Doctor Strange movie that almost felt like a Scarlet Witch movie with America Chavez.
Yeah.
Like, how are you gonna bring Professor X? I always forget his name. The dude that plays Jean-Luc Picard in Star Trek: Next Generation. But that to me, he was like. It almost feels Patrick Stewart. It almost feels like Patrick Stewart was born to play Professor X. Like, unknowingly at the same time when they designed Professor X and he was born, it's like, okay, at one point you're going to be the same person because he was just.
Well, that's how a lot of people felt about Tony Stark and
Robert Downey Jr. Well, I mean, and then knowing that Tony Stark had substance abuse problems and was an alcoholic and stuff like that, and then that was Robert Downey Jr.'s life for a while in Hollywood was just like. He already knows those demons, so
no, he was definitely a fit for Iron Man, and that's the only reason why that movie really succeeded.
As much as I hate Iron Man as a character, I love Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal of Iron Man.
Yeah, I literally like no joke. Before Iron Man came out, I despised Iron Man as comic books. Did not like it whatsoever. Didn't care for it. Movie came out, I'm like, that movie was too good. I had to admit that movie was so good because I hated Iron Man.
With Iron Man, though, I do prefer Don Cheadle over what's his face, Hustle and Flow.
Yeah.
What the heck is his name? I always forget his name. Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard, yeah. Terrence Howard didn't put enough of substance in the character. That's why.
I just wish I had the ability to make stuff like that.
I could just picture if I could control time and manipulate stuff. I would totally go back and then have Terrence Howard go back, but I would have him have the voice from DJ from Hustle and Flow as
at least.
as Rhodey.
Yeah. But no, there was enough substance in that character to where
they trying to take your Iron Suit mane.
Yep.
He's all pimping Black Widow.
Yep. All right, but that's that Thunderbolts review. So make sure y'all guys go at least see that, especially if you're a Marvel fan, and even if you've never seen the comic books, at least watch this movie.
Well, I think some women are gonna go and watch it because I know a lot of girls like
Bucky.
Bucky, yeah. What the heck is his name? Sebastian Shaw.
Yep, there you go. Yep.
James Buchanan Barnes.
Yep. Now I will say the guy that plays Sentry that isn't bad looking either.
I don't even know who else is in that movie, even though I've seen the trailer a couple of times.
I meant like on the poster at least. You got Winter Soldier. You got the Red Guardian. You got the new Black Widow. I say Black Widow.
Oh, it's the sister, right?
The sister. Then you have who else is on there? Ghost from Ant-Man.
Oh yeah, Ghost is in there. I remember Ghost now.
Yep, and then John Walker, and then you have what's her name? Taskmaster.
Oh, but it's the girl.
Yeah. So they have those are the elements of what they have on that poster where you see the character. So I'm not spoiling it. Yeah. If you see the picture poster, you see who's all gonna be in the movie. But yeah, that's what they have on that one.
Leah actually likes the sister over Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson. Yeah. She definitely has a more developed character. With Scarlett Johansson, I felt like her portrayal of Black Widow was just, she's this mysterious woman. You don't know about her past.
She didn't have a lot of dialogue.
No.
I come to think about it, I was like.
It was always this mysterious woman and then not enough substance of a character.
I wish they would have explored her relationship with Hawkeye more. Yeah. We can always get into what they should have done. We should do a what if. What if that they what they should have what they should have done.
That'd be easier. So yeah, we'll do that. And then for the next subject, we have this past Saturday was Free Comic Book Day. We already showed like a highlight of like what was to come. But these are the physical books that we have right now.
No monsters books though. No Mark Spears.
Yeah. I will say so the hottest book for Free Comic Book Day was the Mark Spears books.
Yes, but to me this was the hottest book. Yeah, you can't get any better than Thundercats with Powerpuff Girls, especially when it's an homage. Yeah. An homage to the original cover for Thundercats #1.
And I think that's what I like the most is about this year, all the kid books that they made that was focused on kids was also a good substance for adult readers too.
If you're in town, Muse is actually a really good bookstore to go to for comics.
Oh yeah,
and they got a great
lot of
kid
good
section.
ratios.
Great kid section for theirs.
Yep.
So just to reiterate, there's Muse. There is Escape Velocity downtown.
Yep.
Up north we have the Iron Lion, and if you're into old school digging, then you have to go to Ed's, because Ed's is the only true old school style comic book store here in town.
Yeah. And actually, matter of fact, with these books, I actually videotaped all the comic book shops that were actually participating. So my whole journey through all that.
Did you hit Vans?
Yep. Well, no, I didn't hit Vans because
Vans never really has anything.
He didn't have that much stuff. So other than Vans, I went to everybody else. Vans ran out of his stuff, but so first I stopped at Escape Velocity. I mean, what was it? Escape
Velocity downtown.
Yep. Then I went to Kapow.
Oh yeah, I always forget about Kapow and Kapow.
Yep. And Kapow has some good selection too.
And Kapow has a little coffee shop in there too,
yep.
So you can get snacks and coffee
yep.
and
they had a donut
food.
stand there. Then the Iron Line ran out of their free comic books pretty fast, but what they did that brought a lot of people in, they put in books that was
older books from previous years.
Older previous years books. Not free, not even the free comic book day stuff. I'm talking about older books that was like cover price
Muse does
stuff.
that too sometimes.
Yeah. So
I've noticed that Muse will get some of their backstock in.
Yep. So they did a whole huge backstock, gave it away for free. 8 books too. So they did a really good job. Even though they didn't have the free comic books, they had something for people to pick up.
I had to get my stuff secondhand because I had to work. So
yep.
If you're in town, you happen to see me at Lowe's, please don't order a whole bunch of mulch for me to load into your vehicle.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to tip me. No, I'm just
yep.
playing. But you can tip me.
Yep. And then after Iron Line is where I went to Ed's. Ed's, his limit was only 3
of the new
ones for adults. The kids was able to get 4, but he
seems
also
like he kind of limited
last,
this year because I think last year the kids could get like 5.
Probably. And
but he lets you get a lot of the old books that
yep.
he has.
So like as soon as you went through the new books, he literally was like, "Here you go. You can pick 6 of the books that came out last year." And that was like a huge thing
because it's not just books that he has from last year, it's books that he has from like 3 to 4 years
yep.
before, and the Halloween one. So
and the good books too.
If you missed out on Free Comic Book Day, which is always the first Saturday of May every year, there is the Trick or Read Halloween Fest book. So closer to Halloween, comic book stores will get other books that they'll give out for free for promos. So 2 times out of the year, you can go to your local comic book store and get free comics.
Yep. And then after Ed's, because Ed's was amazing too, my last stop was at Muse. Muse was good because I just love their selection in general. They almost order every single book that comes out every week. And they always have plenty of inventory for it. They have all the ratios usually. They have everything. And
Muse hands down has the biggest selection of new comic books in town.
Yep.
In town.
And they're very clean too. I like that. Like there's different perspectives of like what a comic book shop should look like, and I feel like Muse does a good mixture of the both.
I was gonna say they're kind of a hybrid.
Yeah, they're not too high end. You know, like Iron Line is like kind of fancy, and then on the other end you have Ed's where it's just such a raw looking.
Ed orders everything, but I don't know if he puts everything out because I know he does sell a lot of stuff online. Oh, did you make it to Vault? I always forget about Vault.
I didn't go to Vault. I completely
Vault did it pretty
about
big
him.
this year.
Yeah, I totally forgot about Vault.
I think that because this was their first year inside the mall.
Yep.
I know they had a line, but they had a good sale. I think they did like 40% off their action figures.
That makes sense too. That's actually one of the things. Escape Velocity,
Chapel Hill,
Escape Velocity, and I guess even Vault. The number one thing that they had was Escape Velocity is downtown. So people who didn't even know about Free Comic Book Day was going in there and looking because that's really a tourist place.
That's the thing is where
it was downtown. It's where everybody's at.
It's one of the older comic book shops in town too. Yeah. Them and Ed's.
Yep. So they go there. So they was packed. They was running good. They had like little games and stuff you can do. So it was, I say as far as the most fun I had out of it, Escape Velocity was would take that one. But yeah, even Vault, like they're in the middle of the mall. So there's going to be people who didn't know about Free Comic Book Day who just gonna pass by and be like, hey, let me go in there.
And
see.
I always forget about Kapow too. I remember about it, but I always forget about it.
Yeah.
So depending on your take on a comic book store, if you're old and you like old school comic book stores, Ed's definitely the place.
Yep.
If you want a good mixture of what Ed's has to offer and gaming stuff, then your next best bet is going to be Muse. Because Muse has the biggest selection of comic books. They have some figures, but they have a good balance of gaming.
Yeah.
The same thing with Vans. Vans doesn't necessarily have the biggest selection of new comic books, but his inventory is still pretty deep, and he has a lot of cards and other stuff in there.
Yeah. So Vans has the best selection of anything that has to do with tabletop gaming. So like Warhammer, D&D, all that stuff. Because
it's still a comic book store because there is tabletop gaming stores in town, but that's all they cater to.
Exactly. So as far as that's Vans major, and plus almost everything in his stores always end up being 10 to 15% off for any other price.
Oh yeah, he gives regular discounts on everything. You don't even have to be
Yep.
Because his thing is, if he can still order it, he'll give you a discount on it to move it, so he can just place another order. Where a lot of stores won't just give you a discount unless you're subscribing or you're
right. But he tries to push discounts because he wants you to keep coming. And he knows
because he does that with that's why I get my graphic novels there, because he'll like, let me check and see if I can order it. Okay, I'm gonna give you 10% off. I'm like, all right. I mean, 10% off's not a whole lot, but hey, I'm not paying taxes.
Exactly.
Not paying taxes on it. He's eating those taxes.
Yeah, he treats his clientele good. I like him.
Every store has its perks. Perks. Like, who doesn't want to go downtown? There's a lot of new little eateries that are not chain stores. There's a bunch of different boutiques, and if you happen to be downtown, you're like, oh, I'm going to go over here, eat some tacos, and I'm going to cross the street, and I'm going to go into Escape Velocity, because they got a lot of new stuff. They have figures, a bunch of different little odd end stuff, and they have a small selection of back issues. They don't have the biggest selection, but they have a bigger selection of back issues than Muse, but Muse carries all the new stuff, plenty of new stuff, a bunch of graphic novels, and probably the biggest selection of kids' comic books and graphic novels for kids.
Yeah.
Plus, they got plushies too at Muse. I always forget that they have a good selection of plushies.
Oh yeah. And cards, Magic the Gathering, and Pokemon.
Well, I think about a third of the store is dedicated to gaming.
Yep.
For TCG anyways.
Yep. And then I say our line at least takes the cake when it comes to they
have a lot of card product.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily the best as far as comic books go.
Right.
They have a decent selection of comic books, but they have a lot of higher end stuff. So if you like sideshow and statues and stuff like that, then the slabs, especially when we were running it and every other comic book manager, because I know Hector ordered sent off that one last submission the last week that I was there, I think 75 for slabs. So it did dip there for a while because we were getting rid of stuff left and right on whatnot, but the slab selection, I think they probably have the biggest selection of slabs in town. So if you're into graded books.
Yeah. And are they still doing it where you can submit through them?
Yeah, they should be, even though CGC raised their prices on stuff.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're getting their cases from overseas, and if they're going to raise their price again.
Probably not. I think what's going to hit them is their overseas network is going to get hit harder than what's here. Because I think they do a lot of their stuff here, but not. But overseas are going to get hit the hardest. But we'll see.
And then Kapow is one of those places where you can just go pick up a book, get a cup of coffee, maybe a sandwich or something, chill, eat, and read your book. Like, it kind of reminds me of like Barnes and Nobles and what Borders was like. You know, so, I'm gonna go get a book and go kick back on the couch and eat and drink my coffee and read my book.
Yeah, the only thing I hate is
they do get a lot of older vintage books too.
Oh yeah, they got a really good, especially he has this case right in the front, and he always have like these super big books that you can actually buy from him, and I will always look through them just for the fun of it, because
you're like, one of these days when I get the money.
Yep. That's one thing he had, and I don't know if he still has it, but he had an actual Wonder Woman #1. It was like really bad. It was like a 1.
Her eyes just went to the side like you. Yeah. She pulled what Leah did to me when I tried to buy that X-Men #1.
Yeah. But now that
you
was
get
a
that
heavy
book. We're getting a divorce.
Yeah. That was a heavy book, and I mean it was like I don't know if he sold it or what, but that was a heavy book. And I was like, that was the only book that I looked at. And I was like, if I could, only if I could.
I mean, anybody would. You don't even have to be a Wonder Woman fan to want to get that book. Golden Age is Golden Age.
Oh yeah. So that's that, and then I hate
Vault.
the fact that Kapow didn't do, like before COVID, Kapow used to do all kind of cool stuff like trivia night and stuff like that. But now they just have the coffee shop and the books there. So after COVID, it kind of ruined a lot of things for
Yeah,
Kapow.
but it ruined a lot of things for a lot of people, and then prices skyrocketed on collectibles crazy.
Yeah.
And then, last but not least, there's always Vault inside Chapel Hills Mall.
Yeah, they're the new guys. I say they're the babies of Colorado Springs.
As far as physical locations go, because they were located at the flea market before we opened up our shop over there. But one of the co-founders of it ended up moving, and then but you do have Mike Pagano there. So if you're into Pokemon, he's definitely the guy here in town.
Yeah.
He's not going to steer you wrong. But the other Mike from Vault has a huge selection of toys. So Vault is more like a collectibles store than an actual comic book shop or a toy shop or a TCG shop. They just have a whole bunch of everything. Yeah. And he's constantly running sales to get rid of that inventory and get new stuff in. So he's got old toys and new toys.
Yep. So yeah, so now that we have that, we have like a good summary of every book. I'm gonna go ahead and we'll watch my video that I set up to see the inside of it. Missed out on free comic book day, definitely at least support your comic book shop in a way. Like at least stop in there, at least like you said last time, once a month.
Once a
just
month.
Go in there.
Just remember though, if you're subbing to books, pick them up at least once a month because they rely on that money to keep ordering the books.
Oh yeah. Definitely subscriptions for comic book shops is insanely important.
Don't go into a comic book shop and be like, man, you never have my comic books. Well, you can always subscribe to the series so that it's set aside for you.
In every single comic book shop, when you subscribe, you always get a discount on it. To the point where it makes it worth just asking.
Yeah, at least what I've seen anyways, because what were we giving, 15%?
Yeah.
So
most places was like 10% is the average discount for subscribing. But yeah, Iron Line, they do 15%.
15%, so you're getting, what is that? 7% off after the taxes, so not a huge discount, but
it saves. Like
you buy a handful of books, you end up getting a couple of those for free.
Right. Yeah, if you buy $100 book,
you buy $100 worth of books, you're gonna get 15%. That's gonna get you what? Another 3 or 4 books are free. Yep. Plus, considering the comic books are going up in price.
Yep. Plus, Iron Line actually does a reward system too.
Oh yeah, so you can get more stuff.
Yeah, the more stuff you buy, you get it towards points that builds up, and you can use it for
even on their website.
Off.
On the website, I remember one time I think I had like 7,007. I ended up having $77 in store credit when I redeemed my points.
Yep. So yeah, support your local comic book day. Not comic book day. Support your local comic book shops. Because that is like a cornerstone of culture in general, and it's just something that will definitely needs to be brought up in the next generation.
Take your kids.
Generation, you got to get into them. Reading.
Better than buying comic books and saving comic books that might be worth money someday rather than downloading skins for Fortnite.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing. There's a lot of comic book collectors that are getting old, and they say stuff. Oh, I'm gonna save this for my kids.
then the
But
kids
if the
don't want
kid,
them.
yeah, the kids ain't gonna
Don't
want
like
it because
then what's the
yeah,
point?
you have to develop that interest in order for you to
For
know
it
your
to
collection is
retain
yeah,
value.
yeah. So your collection to be kept. So yeah, so that's what we got for that on our show.